Good morning, welcome back to my garden. I just came out here and I have not yet gone into the garden yet this morning, so I thought I'd bring you along for this morning's first look. There's some exciting things going on in here, so let's go look. First, the flower bed is looking great. The nasturtiums are getting bushy and starting to vine out into the walkway. Look how far out they're sticking. Last year they were out to probably this big stone here on the ground, so they really cut off my walkway, but I loved it. They were so pretty. Nasturtiums get a little damage on them, but I just grow them for flowers. They are edible. The leaves and the flower and everything about them is edible, but I just grow them because they're pretty. I don't like the flavor. They taste kind of radishy and kind of spicy. So when there's a bug pressure on them, it doesn't bother me. They can be the trap crop, I guess. And then the sweet peas are growing. I still need to thin them probably, but I probably won't. It's just not me. Over here on this side, we have our green onions that are looking amazing. Getting very thick down there at the bottom. And then the chives that are doing their thing. I need to harvest them because when you harvest them, they'll grow back more. And then harvest them again, grow back more, and then it's a fun circle of chives. I decided to uncover this bed because I had several nights with my rat traps out and nothing being caught in them. So I think I might have gotten rid of at least most of the rat problem. And having this bed uncovered, nothing has come in here and bothered it. So here's one of our broccolis where the leaf got eaten down pretty bad. But look, there's a little baby broccoli head. So that's exciting. I think there was another one. And then this one that the leaf got eaten pretty badly too. You go in there and open it up. There's a little baby broccoli head in there. I'm excited. My broccoli is doing the broccoli thing. And then this is the Romanesco cauliflower. And the leaves are folding up like they want to start forming a head. But they're not forming a head yet. These leaves are just massive. I have had a few little caterpillars on here. I just flip the leaf over and check for them. But I don't mind if there's some caterpillars on there because they're not going to hurt the whole plant at this point. It's so big. This is rat damage. And down inside there, it's starting to close up really tightly like it's going to start forming a cauliflower. So that's cool. That's the other Romanesco cauliflower in this bed. And then on this side is the sprouting broccoli, which I am 90% sure now that I mixed up some of the seeds, but this one is growing off little pieces like it's going to actually have sprouting broccolis on it. And this one seems like it's going to grow a main head first. So it might not actually be a sprouting broccoli, it might be normal broccoli. There were 3 broccoli and 3 sprouting broccoli in there. But they all got so big in that little space that I'm not sure what's what anymore. Other than this one that obviously looks different. See, the leaf shape and size and even the color are completely different. So I think that might be the only one that actually is a sprouting broccoli. But we shall see. On the other side of the broccoli bed, the peas are looking great. These are the second round that I planted. This one has to be a different variety. I didn't take a note of what variety it was, but there are some varieties that just don't get as tall because there's no other explanation I can think of why it would be so small when these ones are so massive. And this one's got some flowers on it. And they're very pretty. When they develop their peas, they'll be very delicious. But for now, they're pretty. These ones don't have any blossoms yet, but they're getting big. I have to keep pushing them back and reminding them to hang on to the trellis because if they're growing how they are and we get a windy day, they'll fall over. And below that, we have cilantro. And I did my first harvest off of this side of the cilantro, and then that side is still growing really big. So I need to harvest some of that. I love cilantro. Tell me in the comments, are you someone who likes cilantro or who thinks it tastes like soap? This bucket, of course, is our volunteers, and they're doing lovely. There's 2 ranunculus and 1 pepper. Actually, I think there's 3 ranunculus. And then 1 pepper plant right there. That's from a seed that I threw from a grocery store pepper. And it's growing. Probably won't do too much more because it's getting really cold out here, but it's growing. Next to it is the potatoes. And they're doing their thing. I need to look up the date that I put on there. They have some bug holes, but not enough to be concerned about anything. To look up the date that I planted them, and then I can get back to you with the date on when they will be ready to harvest. Behind them is that volunteer basil up against the fence, and that's starting to go to flower. I love basil flowers. Back up from that, and look at our beautiful green stalk. That's getting so full and beautiful. Has the nasturtiums at the bottom, and then collard greens and kale and mustard. Mustard's on this side. And then the onions are looking nice too. And the lettuces are looking good. Some of these have gotten little holes in them too. I'll just flip it over and they'll have, you can see the body of it right there. The worms are like minuscule. But they're growing well. Little new leaves coming from the middle. I can come out and harvest pieces off the sides. I'm growing these for my son's bearded dragons, but there are more here than the bearded dragons can eat, so I'm going to have to learn to like kale and mustard greens. But there's that thing. That's a turnip that I'm growing for the greens, for the lizards. There's 2 in that pocket. And then on the other side from the turnip, there's beets. And they're looking nice. They're not getting very much bug pressure like the kales are. The kale, it's not even a full hole on a lot of it because the worms are so little, they just eat the backside. But that's all right. Lizards don't mind, and as long as it's cleaned off, I don't mind either. So I give it a half a turn every couple of days, and the owl tells me which way to face. So today it's going to face that way so the other side can get some sunshine. Next door to that, we have a random lettuce in the walkway, because I had sprinkled lettuce seeds along this right here, and then it rained, and so they all washed down, and only one of them grew. But these are our experimental green beans. I wanted to see how they would do growing in cooler weather, because my summer pole beans got eaten by thrips and died, so they're getting pretty tall. It's taller than me now, all the way up here. So that's great. We'll see if they actually produce, but they're looking great so far. And on the other side of those, we have those volunteer. There are 1, 2, 3 volunteer tomato plants over here, and I am loving it. I don't know how well they'll do again like that pepper because it's getting kind of cold out, but we don't really get super freezing. Yesterday morning it was 39 degrees when I woke up, and it's supposed to get warmer over the next couple weeks, I'm pretty sure. So we don't really get freezing cold. I still have all the onions covered because I don't want birds in there kicking them around. But they are growing. They're all standing up. I'll lift this up and you can see. They are all standing up and looking pretty. And they're getting thicker. So hopefully we can actually have a good onion harvest. And the snapdragons over there are beautiful, blooming. And I like snapdragons because when you pinch them, they look like they're talking. But I can't reach those ones right now. There's a broccoli back there with some dew hanging off the leaf. And the other broccoli is looking good. And the net around here isn't even very tight, so stuff can get in there. But I just don't want the birds kicking up my onions before they were really established. That's the word. Off of the onions, we have the jicama, which is not loving the cold weather. It's starting to dry out in some spots, but I'm just waiting for those seeds to mature. Like I've said before, fake snake, don't worry. Somebody commented on one of my videos, is there a snake in there? And I was like, yes, but it's plastic. My rain thing had water in it because I watered with the hose yesterday, not because it rained. This is that cover that I took off of that other bed that I haven't brought inside. On this side, we have our pink green stalk, or what I refer to as the pink stalk, because it's easier than saying pink green stalk. And doesn't look like anything has sprouted in it. I didn't keep track of which layer was which, but one layer is carrots, one layer is kohlrabi, and one of them is that Teton pelleted lettuce seed that I had. That is actually a romaine variety, so I planted that. So hopefully something pops up soon so we can know which tier is which. There's the back side of the snapdragons and the round bed with nothing in it yet. I need to get my tulips planted out this month. Hopefully sooner than later, but I have plans today, so it's not happening today. I uncovered this one again because I'm pretty sure I got rid of the rat problem, and it was having caterpillar issues even while covered, so I had to come in here and pick off a bunch of caterpillars. And these leaves are almost looking like they got frozen, which is weird because we haven't gotten anywhere near freezing temperatures. But these leaves are not looking super happy. But that's alright. We're just concerned about what's growing inside. That one's actually a Romanesco cauliflower, and then so's this one, and that one in the corner is a Brussels sprout. But they're doing okay. A lot of the leaves are looking pretty worse for wear, but that's alright. They'll still grow. They'll still photosynthesize. It almost looks like frost on that one. There's some dew. These little baby broccolis, the ones that didn't get eaten, are doing pretty well so far. Hopefully they continue to do well. And then our little volunteer tomato plant. I don't know how well that one's going to do, but for now it's doing well. Look how pretty that looks. Look at the dew hanging off the end of those leaves. That's so pretty. Brassica leaves are hydrophobic, so they beat up the water, and it always looks really pretty when it rains or when it's dew. Also in that brassica bed, we have our yellow monster bell peppers, and they're looking good. Not quite as big as they need to be yet, but they are growing. And next to that is a shishito that actually has a couple of peppers on it. I had kind of given up on these plants because they weren't doing anything, but there are a few shishitos on there I need to come harvest. And that's the blot that's not super happy. It has one pepper on the other side of it, but a big branch of it got broken off when I took down the melons, so it's kind of recovering from that. And over here are the potatoes that we planted together, and they are completely filling up that box. That's crazy. And if you look at it from the top, you can see almost everything. There's potatoes in rows. There's just one back here that looks like it didn't come up. So that's exciting. And I'm just going to leave those covered the entire time, and we can harvest them when the plants die back. And here is an Arctic rose dwarf tomato plant. And it has lots of blooms like it has for the last several weeks, but still no fruit. I don't anticipate actually getting any tomatoes this fall or winter, but I'm going to leave it in there as long as I can, just to see what happens. And there's its little brother over there, not getting as much sun, so not doing as well. But it still has some blooms on it, so we'll see what happens. And even just putting my hand down here with the camera, it's a lot colder down here than it is up here. This one is my oregano, and it's starting to grow back a little bit after its haircut a couple weeks ago. It's looking good. And my lime tree is looking good. I put a drip line across the top of it so I don't forget about watering it, because it's back here out of sight, out of mind. But it's looking well. I don't think it has any fruit on it this year, but hopefully next year. The plan is to get it in the ground this spring, so hopefully next year we'll have some limes. And my massive asparagus in all of its glory. That's so crazy to me. I just love it. When the asparagus dies back, which some of it at the bottom is a little bit, but not very much, not enough to do anything about it. When it dies back, I just cut it off at the base and drop it all where it is and let it be its own mulch. And for the climate we live in, it actually only is gone for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. and then it starts growing back again. This is the crazy volunteer lantana that I need to train to do something, but for now I'm just letting it be crazy. There are lots of flowers on it, and there are tons of little berries. These are not edible at all. Don't even think about it. But they turn black like those, and then they dry out and drop seeds. So this corner is probably going to be volunteer central next year. And that'll be fun for somebody else because I won't live here anymore. All right. Over here we have our spicier pepper bed. We have a very, very large jalapeno plant and a smaller jalapeno plant. There are not a ton of peppers on here because I harvested a good amount. I pickled a bunch of peppers for my sisters. This plant is the poblano, and I harvested a bunch of those too, and then I trimmed the plant down. But it still has some pretty good looking peppers down here on the bottom. I only harvested the big ones because the little ones are either not good at all or just too spicy. There's some jalapenos. This is a... that label's obviously not right. Pretty sure this is the pumpkin spice, which ripens to a very, very red looking orange. And they don't get much bigger than that. So that's a ripe jalapeno on there. Probably won't grow that one again just because I like my jalapenos bigger. Back here is a Craig's Grande jalapeno plant that is putting on some bigger peppers. Again, we harvested these pretty heavily, so there's not a ton on there, but it is putting back some more. Look, can you see that? Hold on, let me see if I can. There we go. Look at the pretty spider web. That's pretty. It has a seed stuck in it, like a dandelion looking seed. But that's pretty. We'll try not to disturb that spider. This is another jalapeno plant, and it's labeled pumpkin spice also. So I probably have two. I grew 2 or 3 of each color, so it probably is correct. This is another grande jalapeno plant that doesn't have anything on it because we picked it and it hasn't bloomed again. But this is a littler one I planted at the end of summer. Next to that is the purple cayenne pepper that are ripening to red. So I'm confused a little by that, but that's okay. I was growing the purple for the novelty of it being purple, but if it's red, I still like the cayenne pepper, so it's okay. And I'll just pick them and dry them and make crushed red pepper, probably with most of them. And I might make some cayenne pepper sauce too, because I made some of that last year and it was pretty good. This is the other side of that pepper bed, so the cayenne is over there. And here is a Hungarian heart tomato that's not doing well. I think I need to feed this bed. These leaves are looking yellow and gross, and some of the peppers on the other side are looking kind of yellow. They might need some nitrogen. Oh, from this side, you can see that blot pepper, and there's actually 2 of them on there, so that's cool. Blot peppers are really pretty, and once they're ripe, they taste really good, but if you pick them when they're not ripe, they just taste like grass. This pot here is my ginger, and it's starting to look like it might also need a feeding, but it's looking good. I'm happy with it. You hear that bird in the background? Warning all the other birds that I'm out here, don't come here yet. They'll come out later and eat all the bugs. There is 1 Anaheim pepper growing on this plant, and a few blooms. That's an Anaheim that I planted at the end of summer, and it's starting to get big, this cage here. I like tomato cages for my peppers. I don't like them so much for my tomatoes unless it's an indeterminate variety. This is another pepper that I planted at the end of summer, and it's doing well too. It's supposed to be a grande jalapeno, but look, that one looks like a little elf shoe or something. And here is the backside of that other big grande jalapeno plant. Putting on some new peppers after that harvest. And there's another grande jalapeno down here that I planted at the end of summer, and it has yet to produce anything, but It's alive, and I'm going to let it grow. This down here is another pepper that is actually growing from one of the ones that we saw over there. It's just leaning this way. This is a lemon spice jalapeno, and I harvested all of them, so it's putting out a lot more blooms and a lot of new baby peppers. They don't get very big at all, about that big, so that's all right. They add to the jar, and when they ripen to yellow, it makes a fun color in the jar. This is the other side of that poblano plant, and there are plenty of poblanos on it. It was reaching out over here and reaching out on the back and reaching out halfway across my walkway here. So when I harvested, I trimmed a lot of it because I don't need that many poblanos. And it seems to be doing well. This bed is another pepper bed that is my non-spicy peppers, even though some of them actually ended up being pretty spicy. This is an Anaheim plant. It's putting on lots of good new peppers for me. I love that. I tried to support it with the poles, but it's pretty heavy with fruit. And there's more of it over here. A couple of them are turning red. I prefer them to stay green, but they actually taste really good raw when they're red. Oh, there's one right here. So I don't mind if they turn red. Gives me something to snack on. But when they turn green, I roast them and chop them and either can them or freeze them. If you're going to can them, you have to pressure can them because they don't taste good pickled. But I like green chili, chicken, taco soup, or enchiladas, or white chili, or whatever you want to call them. Look at all those blooms. That's my green chili plant going overdrive. Love it. This pepper has some damage on it, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Alright, here's the separation line. Next to and entwined with and all over the place with the green chilies is a pepper that looks just like the green chilies, but it's not. This is Big Jim, and this one looks funny. Big Jim is the one that's in this bed that is way spicier than I wanted it to be. It still has a good flavor. I just was expecting sweet, so I'm not super loving it. I don't think I'll grow them again. They're very big and they're very prolific, but they're not the flavor that I was looking for. There's a whole bunch of blooms. Look at all of those blooms coming on. It's going to be a lot of peppers. So I'm going to let them do their thing. I plan on letting them all turn red, and then I will dehydrate them and make paprika. And if that turns out well, then I will probably grow them again. But if it doesn't turn out well, then they won't be on my list for next year. They are very, very prolific, though. It's hard for me to say no to a prolific plant. 3 that are definitely on my list again for next year, mostly because I didn't really get to try them, are the Edgevarsky, which is this little plant that has no peppers on it. See, there's some more Big Jim peppers back there with the Edgevarsky plant. I probably got 2 peppers off of that plant. And then this one was a Lesia, which I got a couple of them, and when they ripen, they're very, very sweet. And they have a good texture. They're good, crispy, and they have a thick flesh, and I like them. And then the third one, which I have over there also, is a blot. You can see a little pepper right there. But that plant didn't get very big because it got shaded out by its neighbors. So next year I will pay better attention to the size that the plants are supposed to get and plant taller plants in the back. But yeah, this guy, he was really puny for a while until I put him up on this pole. So now he's taller than me. This is my Nada Pino. And it's my one survivor. And they're really yummy when they turn red. But when they're green, they just have a jalapeno flavor. Look, that one's got some stripes on it. They have the jalapeno flavor without the spice. So I'll make salsa and I'll add 1 jalapeno and 2 Nada Pinos just so that it has that better flavor without being in your face spicy. I'm glad that it's starting to put on lots of peppers because it was a puny plant for a while and not doing very well. So I'm loving that. It's pretty. Behind that is the one that is shading out all of those ones down at the bottom. This is Pippin's Golden Honey. When they're ripe, they are bright orange, and they're actually pretty good. I might grow one plant next year just to have the snack when they finally do ripen, because there are a lot of peppers on here and they're starting to finally ripen, and I do enjoy them. I have said in the past that I probably wouldn't grow them again, but now that they're ripening and I can actually taste what they really taste like, I will probably grow them again. Just one plant, and I'll make sure it's far away from anything that doesn't grow as tall as it, because it is a very large plant. Below that is my pot of peppermint and my pot of chamomile. Probably could thin those chamomile, but I'm not going to. They all grew from seeds from plants that I had grown last winter. And across from that is the garlic that we grew together. And it's looking good. Looks healthy. I probably need to feed it soon. I haven't fertilized in a few weeks. And garlic is a very heavy feeder. This is the elephant garlic in this pot. Onions and garlic, you would think you need to feed the roots, so more phosphorus in the fertilizer, but they actually need more nitrogen because the leaves correlate to the size of the bulb. They're not a root, they're a bulb. So that's something that I had gotten wrong for a while, but I learned that this year. Next to the garlic, we have a Brussels sprout here and a Brussels sprout at the front with a Romanesco cauliflower in the middle. And I might uncover this bed this week, but I'm undecided yet. And then this is where together we stuck those leftover Romanesco cauliflowers that I had. There's 1, 2, and 3. And I think they might have been stunted from being in the pot for too long, but they're doing well in there. And down in between the plants, I don't know if you can see, there's one right here. That's a cilantro. Another one there. I had sprinkled cilantro seeds in here a while ago and they never grew because things kept getting in and digging around. But like back here behind that, and I can see some sprouts of different things. So we'll see what comes up over there. That's pretty exciting. This is where the peas were, and they were starting to die off and not doing well. And I want to replant a variety that I know is going to climb this whole trellis all the way to the top. So I need to go and look through my seeds and find a tall pea variety. But I just chopped them and laid them there. I'll probably put a little bit of compost over the top of them so they can break down. The pea stalks and the leaves themselves are not very thick, so they break down very quickly and they're really good for the soil. And back here you can look and see the rutabagas are looking nice. I've never had rutabaga and I've never grown rutabaga, so I'm not sure what they're supposed to look like exactly, but I think that might be just about what they're supposed to look like. So that's fun. And then next to the rutabaga on this side are the purple kohlrabis, and they're looking good too. I'm very happy with that. Oh, also there used to be 2 tomato plants here, and I pulled those out because they were getting diseased and gross looking and depressing. So I didn't want them anymore. This is the part where we pulled out the green beans together, and there are a few radishes trying to do their thing and some carrots that had been left behind. And then this whole space I chaos gardened, even though I said I was not going to. I sprinkled lettuce seeds and kohlrabi seeds and carrot seeds and radish seeds. So we will see what comes up and what survives. This pot is my Jerusalem artichoke. Still never bloomed for me at all. And the top of this branch is looking unhappy. So I don't know how much longer those are going to live, but if they die back, I'll cut them down to the base and I'll put some compost in there and I will leave them in there for springtime and see if they come back. I'm not planning on harvesting Jerusalem artichoke in this house, so not till probably the end of summer. This bed with the carrots and chaos everything also has a couple of volunteer onions in this corner. That looks like it got nibbled on a little bit, but it's doing all right. And then there's a clump of 4 over on this side that look like they're doing better. They probably get better sunshine on this side, so they're just doing better. Look, a baby radish. See, this is what my radishes always do. And if you can tell me why and tell me a solution, please do. Because my radishes never grow well. And it's frustrating. I don't particularly like radishes, but I would like to be able to grow them because everybody says it's the easiest thing to grow. Try those first. They never grow well for me. It's another one. The roots just get long and lanky and weird looking, and they never radish. So, if you can help, please help. The Mexican sunflower back here is still a mess. I do need to clean this up sometime soon because it's starting to die back and not look as pretty. But my sister told me this week that the Mexican sunflower variety is not actually even a sunflower. It is a daisy. Or it's more closely related to daisies than sunflowers. And daisies are my favorite, so that explains why I like this one so much. That's pretty. It's just a nice big bright pop of color in this messy side yard. I have a big cleanup project planned, but I don't want to talk too much about it because it might not happen. And I don't want to look silly when it doesn't, but I want to clean up that and this whole area at some point this winter, not necessarily now. This is Ruby. We don't let her in here because there's rat traps. Go out, baby girl. And that's Ty. He's my dad's dog. He looks like a mop. On this side of the long bed, we have one lettuce plant. I had planted a whole tray of them and most of them died, but this one didn't, so I just stuck it in the ground there. And it is looking happy and healthy. And it's a romaine, so that makes me happy because I like romaine. And this is the front side of the purple kohlrabi and the rutabaga. And there was a tomato plant here, and you can see this one rutabaga at the front is super stunted because it was in that shadow. So I removed that tomato plant, and hopefully that rutabaga can do its thing now. But if not, we have 7 or 8 others, so I'm not concerned. But these are my purple kohlrabi, which I'm excited for because the rats ate all of my green kohlrabi. And then this pepper plant is looking amazing and almost ready to harvest again. These are my sweet bananas. I will pick those and pickle them to put in salad. My 14-year-old loves Olive Garden salad, so it comes with pickled pepperoncinis, but I'm not growing pepperoncinis this year, so I will put pickled banana peppers, and he'll be happy with that. Down here is my other shishito plant, which is the reason I wasn't sure what my other shishito plant was going to be doing, because this one is just making tiny little peppers and then ripening them when they're like the size of a fingernail. So I need to pull out that plant. It's just not doing its thing. There's one pepper there. I guess there's a couple at the bottom, but I don't know. Maybe I will dig it up and put it into one of those pots that we filled up with the soil from the melon bed. Not sure, but it's not happy where it's at. So maybe I need to dig it up and put it in the sun. Over here is a pot of potatoes and another pot of potatoes. This is another thing I like to use a tomato cage for, is holding up the potato plants, because there's nothing really wrong with them falling all over each other like this, but it looks prettier when they're standing upright. Literally the only reason I care. But that's all right because they're still growing and they're doing well. As is pretty much everything in the garden, especially since we got rid of the rats. All right, so that is the garden here on this first week of December. Things are looking great. Lots of exciting stuff happening. No big terrible things happened at all this week, and hopefully nothing big or bad happens next week. I hope you all enjoyed the tour, and I hope your gardens are doing well. And if you're somewhere where it's cold, I hope you are doing well with your break from the garden. I will see you next time. Bye.